Hello, wonderful and amazing teachers from all over the world, and welcome to the Music Teacher Mastermind podcast. I am so glad you're here. My name is Jaclyn Mrozek, but you can call me Jackie, and I am flying solo today. And if you're new around here, I thought I would share a little bit about me. I am a private and group piano teacher based in Cincinnati, Ohio, but I also have a background in project management from the corporate world, and I'm a certified mastermind facilitator, which I now use to help coach other teachers on how to run efficient and sustainable studios. We talk about all the behind the scenes stuff like systems, policies, tuition that actually pays the bills, and finding some balance between work and life, all the things. And so today's episode is kind of special and vulnerable because you would think with that kind of background and helping and working with teachers all the time that I would be living the dream piano teacher life and I just have all the things figured out. But the confession really is that things have not felt dreamy lately at all in my world. And it has not been because of any major emergency or catastrophe, thank God, but because of something many of us face silently, and that's burnout. Fortunately, there's lots of people out there who have been talking about this, bring it to the surface so that we can all help each other deal with it. But that's what it was. It was burnout. I've tried avoiding it in so many ways, but it just always tends to creep up. And then what follows burnout? All the time. Can you guess it? Yes, a lovely little spiral of imposter syndrome. One thing I've learned over the years of working with teachers is that this struggle is incredibly normal. It happens across all industries, and ours is no exception. So we need to talk about it. And today I'm going to do just that. But I also want to share something that surprised me in the middle of this fog. And that is that the systems I set up, those SOPs that past Jackie built, actually carried me when I couldn't carry much else. They kept the studio steady, the bills were getting paid, the students were still showing up, they were still getting taught, and my SOPs even allowed me to launch a brand new group class with excited kids and beaming parents, all while I was definitely not at my best. So today, I thought that we would dive into the COPI, the challenge, opportunity, problems, and inspiration of SOPs, what they are, how they work, and why every single independent music teacher, whether you are teaching 2 students or running a full-blown studio, you should all be making them a top priority. So hear me out. Honestly, I am still in that gray area of trying to figure out what exactly triggers this kind of burnout for me personally. Maybe you recognize it when it starts happening for you. I think for me, it tends to show up after I've hit a big goal, something that I've been building toward for a while. And then suddenly, this big goal is done. It reminds me of when my theater kids show up for lessons and, the show's over, it's done, and they're a little blue and aimless about it. It's kind of like that. And it really does make sense for me because for the past few months, I had been prepping for MTNA and my first session there. I had been deep in the details of creating my boot camp. And on top of that, we've had some stuff going on at home. So once the dust cleared and all of that was over, what seemed to be waiting for me was not a sense of relief. It was taxes. If you've listened to this before, I think you know how I feel about taxes. But yeah, taxes were waiting for me. And of course, a whole pile of catching up kind of tasks, a messy house, all the things. And something strange happens when burnout kicks in for me. And I'm really curious if this happens to you too. But I will be scrolling through social media and I will see a fun, beautiful post and suddenly think, oh, what the heck am I even doing? They are doing it so much better than me. Everybody has it so figured out. All the things. Cue the imposter syndrome. Here it is. And then, of course, it spirals even more. I start telling myself I should go back to school and get a, a real job, which, yes, I realize is hilariously hypocritical given the work that I do. But it does. It crosses my mind. I admit it. And I will even start mentally pricing out my instruments to see what I could get for them on Facebook Marketplace. I mean, the whole shebang. And then comes the meltdown. And oh, I had the meltdown. I have been calling it the meltdown of 2025. And we're only in April, but I'm pretty sure it's going to take a lot to top it. It was ugly. It was messy. It was snotty. And honestly, it just confirmed that I'm in the right field because, wow, did I bring the drama. But here's the thing. That meltdown was exactly what I needed. Because once it was over, I could finally exhale, take a deep breath, and take a good clear look around, or as clear as I could maybe. Once the tears had dried and I had a little bit more perspective, I realized something unexpected, and that is that my studio did not fall apart. In fact, things kept running. New students were showing up. As I mentioned before, I started a brand new group class. During this time, I even was doing the marketing. I was enrolling students. I was talking to them from my wait list. I even had the first lesson, all of the things, and everybody was happy. Tuition was still coming in. My bills were paid. In fact, my car finally went kaput during this whole awfulness. And I was able to buy a new one. You would think I would be taken out of my funk by getting a brand new car, but no, that didn't even do it. I was just more mad that I had to buy a new car. But still, emails were mostly being answered. And I hadn't made some massive mess during this time that really needed fixing. And that's when it hit me that past Jackie had already done the work. The systems I had set up, the SOPs, were quietly doing their job. And so that's what I'm finally going to get to the point and talk to you about today. But you might even be saying like, okay, what even is an SOP? And I'm so glad you asked. An SOP, also known as a standard operating procedure, is just a fancy way of saying, here's how I do this thing in my studio step by step. It's a written process for how you handle something that you do regularly, like onboarding a new student, sending a welcome packet, prepping for a recital. It's repeatable, it's predictable, and it keeps you from reinventing the wheel every time. SOPs are not about being rigid. They're about being kind to your future self. Because when your brain is busy with everything else, or maybe just not wanting to have anything to do with anyone or anything, having your repeatable tasks written down means less decision fatigue, fewer dropped balls, and more time for the good stuff like teaching. Also, and this is important if you are anything like me, please understand that SOPs aren't just for type A people or for teachers trying to look professional. If anything, being a more type B person like myself, I feel like this can benefit us even more because getting sidetracked is like a favorite hobby for us. We are so good at it. So these are important for all of us. Also, SOPs are legit. They are what allow big businesses to function at scale and still stay consistent. All right, so I looked this up because I like to look things up. But Starbucks, they have an SOP for how to make a caramel macchiato. Yes, thank you, SOPs. Don't mind if I do. Amazon, SOPs for every package pickup and delivery. Disney, SOPs for park openings, character training, guest experience. Every magical detail is systematized. These companies aren't winging it every day. They're running on clear written procedures. And if it works for them, it can definitely work for our studios. And I don't think it really matters if you're only teaching 5 students or managing a team of 5 teachers. And I probably will never run a coffee empire, but I do have a system for how I onboard students. I welcome them, I prep for recitals, I manage tuition, taking time to myself when I need it while still getting paid. Yep, I've got an SOP for that. And of course, so much more. And when I am struggling, those systems are golden. SOPs don't just make you more organized, they create stability when your energy just isn't there and you need to support your future self. So let's walk through one, shall we? And as you're listening, you might realize that you have already been setting SOPs in place this whole time, because often I think we realize that as we keep repeating the same work over and over and over again, it does get old. And so then we might think, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and make a copy of this and put it in Google Docs and just copy and paste it. Well, guess what? That is a form of an SOP. Congratulations. So I'm going to walk you through the general structure of an SOP using one that has saved me more times than I can count. And it's very simple. It's just my new student welcome email. That's all that it is. And I'm not going to give away the full template because it will take too much time on this podcast. And I did actually include that in the free workbook that I'll talk to you about here in a little bit. But this is the gist of how I document it. First, you got to give it a title. Every SOP starts with a name, and it's just simple and clear. In this case, it's, wait for it, new student welcome email. Okay, so just something nice and simple. And then you want to define its purpose. So why does this SOP exist? Well, for me, it's to make sure that every family gets a warm, clear welcome with all the info that they need that answers common questions. You know, like, where do I park? Can I run to the store during lessons? How do I navigate the website? How do I pay my tuition? And I even highlight and reiterate important parts of my policy that I know most likely will get asked again later on. And I think you all know what I am talking about here. So all kinds of fun stuff in this email. Now, when do I use it? I only pull it out when someone new joins the studio. So this is a one-time SOP per student. Then I'm going to list what I need, all the tools and files. So I need my email template, which I like to keep in my email template section of my music staff. I know some teachers that just use Google Docs. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I know that I will need a copy of my studio policy PDF because I send this policy to my studio parents a gazillion times. I also like to include another copy of the annual calendar. So I'll have a PDF of that. And then I write down a little checklist so I don't forget any attachments because I don't know about you, but I have sent emails without attachments before, and it's kind of embarrassing. All right, so with that, it is time to write out the steps. And this is where the magic is. I literally write out the steps as in open the email draft from my saved templates, personalize it if needed, attach the right documents, double check links, send and log it into their profile, which I do have a section in Notion all about the students. So I do have a little check mark that says that I sent their welcome email to them. So including a simple checklist to make sure I sent everything, it just helps me feel confident that it's handled. And that's it, you guys. That's an SOP. It is not fancy. It's just thoughtful. You have to just think through it. And once it's written, it takes way less energy to repeat. So the more I realized that this is what helped me during my funk, and I was realizing I was not alone at all. If you're listening and thinking, I need this, but I don't even know where to start, I created a free workbook to guide you. It walks you through your first 5 SOPs with an example, space to reflect, and ideas to organize your systems digitally or on paper. This workbook helps you brainstorm what you might be the most helpful to you and how to get it done. Creating an SOP might not seem like a big deal. You might even be thinking it's just an email. Big whoop. But last year when I onboarded over 20 students in group lessons, it was a very big whoop. Thank you very much. And when all I had to do was click a button and they all received a personalized welcome packet with all the information they needed, which had to have helped me save hours of back and forth emails and texts and questions. Yeah, it was a very big whoop indeed. Now, add SOPs for tuition, for newsletters, for scheduling, for the never-ending conversation of makeup lessons or rescheduling for sports. Well, I think you get the point. So if you are struggling, that doesn't mean you are failing. And if you are running on autopilot, that might just be a sign that past you built something strong. And I want to end today by saying this. Listen, burnout does not mean you're broken. Imposter syndrome doesn't mean you're not qualified. And needing systems doesn't make you less creative. It makes you sustainable. So don't go selling your equipment on Facebook Marketplace and registering for classes at the local college just yet. The truth is, the only reason my studio didn't fall apart while I was falling apart is because I had systems in place. Not perfect ones, but written down, repeatable ones. And if you're feeling that same mental load or just want to build a stronger foundation for your future self, just start small, one SOP at a time. So I created the Create Your First 5 SOPs workbook to help you do exactly that. It's free, it's practical, and it's made specifically for music teachers just like you. You can find the link in the show notes. And if you feel like you need more individualized attention, registration for the Music Teacher Bootcamp is officially open. Yay! We opened Friday of last week. So we will be working on SOPs together, but we will also be working on all of the other administrative and businessy parts of the studio together as well. So this is a part where you really get to work with other people and you're not doing it all alone. And as a reminder, those that register before April 18th will receive a free one-on-one post-bootcamp consultation with me. It's only $90. It's only $99, which, to be honest, I have received some slack for because it really is worth so much more. But I want to hear your stories and I want to see you all succeed. So I don't have any hidden upsales or now you've unlocked this or blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's all that there is to it. It's just the $99. You're going to get all that stuff. Okay. And you're doing important work. So let's make sure your business supports you as much as you support your students, because I know you all love them and you support them with all that you are. So thanks for being here. I'll talk to you guys next week. Oh, guess what? Next week, I have the lovely Rachel Ehring from Top Music Podcast. She will be joining me to talk about some extra ways to earn some extra money for over the summer. And I love how she uses her past experiences to help all of us teachers think outside the box. And I really think you will enjoy it. Let me know if you end up using the workbook. I would love to hear from you all. But in the meantime, remember, keep teaching, keep loving, keep practicing. Take care. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.